Hello, welcome. This is going to be lesson B1, part 1 on graphs. And basically, it's a general review of graphing. Okay, so basically, let's go over some definitions. This is a coordinate plane. This is the origin. This is the y-axis. This is the x-axis. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Best way to remember about quadrants is just remember that it's counterclockwise, starting from 1 here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, let's move up. Here's example number 1. And here we have some points that we want to plot into the coordinate plane. There's down here. Okay, this is called a order pair because these numbers are in order. This number here represents the x coordinate, and this represents the y coordinate. X coordinate goes from left to right, left or right. Okay, and the y coordinate is up and down. Okay, if the number is positive, such as here 5, we're going to go to the right. We always start from the origin because every point starts from the origin. So you always put your pencil right there. And because the first number is positive 5, we're going to move 5 units to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the second coordinate is positive 3. So we're going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to make the point letter A. Very well. Now the problem also asks us to identify which quadrant, axis, or origin the point lies. Well, point A lies on quadrant 1. So we're going to write quadrant 1 right there. Okay? Alright, very well. And then we're going to do letter B. Letter B is at -5. So we're going to do -5. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we went to the left because it's a negative. And then the second coordinate is 3, positive 3. So we're going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to make the letter B right there. And the quadrant that this point is in quadrant 2. So we're going to come over here and put quadrant 2. Alright, very well. Okay, let's do letter C. Letter C is -2, 4. So 1, 2. And the second coordinate is -4. So let me move the paper a little bit so we can see down to 4. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be letter C. And what quadrant this is? This is in quadrant 3. Quadrant 1, 2, 3. Alright, let's do the next one, which is D1, -2. So we're going to stop our point here. I'm going to go 1 and then down 2. So this will be point letter D. And what quadrant that is? This is quadrant 4. Okay. Alright. Now let's go on to the next one. Next point is 0, 0. So basically, the first coordinate is 0. So that means I don't go to the left nor to the right. I just stay there. And the second coordinate is also 0. So I don't go up nor down. I just stay there. So my point is right there at the origin. And so I'm going to write origin. Okay. And then we have points 0, 2. So we're going to go put your pencil there. And 0 means I don't go to the left nor right. I just stay there. And then the second coordinate is 2. So I go up 2. 1, 2. And that will be letter F. And this will be, it's not on a quadrant, but is on the y-axis. Alright, very good. And I forgot to put the label here, so this would be the letter F. Oh no, I put letter F. I forgot the letter E. Alright. Very well. Let's continue to the next one. Next one is going to be -5, 0. So we're going to put the pencil there. Go down. Go. The first coordinate is -5, so go left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we stay right there. And we'll put letter G. Okay, we stayed right there because the second coordinate is 0, so I don't go up nor down. I just stay there. And this will be the x-axis. Very well. The next one is going to be 3 and 1/2 and in half. So we're going to go to the right 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go up half. So that means we're going to go half a square. So it'll be right there. So this would be letter H, and that will be in quadrant number 1. Alright, next one is a 0. 0, that means I don't go left or right, I just stay there. But the second coordinate is -5, 1/2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1/2. Letter L. Okay, and the next one, it would be, the first coordinate is 4 and 2/3, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 2/3, if you divide 2 by 3 on the calculator, it would be like 0.6, so it would be 4.6. 4.6 would be like over here. Now we have to take in consideration the second coordinate, which is -3, so let's go down 3. 1, 2, 3. So that will be my point, letter J, and that will be in quadrant number 4. And by the way, I forgot to put the quadrant here. Actually, it's not a quadrant, it's the y-axis. So let's complete that. Alright, so that completes example number 1. So what you can do now is stop the video and try the practice problem number 1 on the other half of the paper, and then restart the video to see the answers. Thank you very much for your time. Okay, welcome back, and this is practice problem number 1. Here are the answers for the quadrant, also y-axis and origin. Okay, so please take a look at that. In a few seconds I'm going to move the paper up so you can see the graphs. Okay. Alright, let me move the graph up so you can see the answers for the practice problem. And remember that you can always stop the video and take a little more time to analyze the answers. Okay. Alright. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move to the next set of problems. The next set of problems talks about identify the following points on the graph below and the corresponding quadrant, axis, and origin. So basically now, instead of making points, we're going to identify the points already on the graph, and also, as before, identify the quadrant or axis or origin. Okay, so if we start with letter A is right here. So basically, to get there from the origin, you would have to go 1, 2, 3, so -3 to the left, and the second coordinate would be 0 because I don't go up or down, and this would be on the x-axis. Very well. Then let's identify letter B. Letter B is at the origin, and the origin is 0, 0. Alright, very well. Now let's do letter C. Letter C is at 1, 2, 3, 4, so -4. And we go down 1, 2, 3, so -3. And that would be in quadrant number 3. Let's do letter D. Letter D would be 1, 2. so 2, and then on the vertical would be 1, 2, 3, so 2, 3, and this would be in quadrant 1. Very well. Let's go ahead and do letter E. Letter E would be at 1, 2, 3, so negative 3, and then up 5, so it would be negative 3, up 5. And the quadrant would be quadrant 2. Letter F would be 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So 3 to the right and negative 4 down. So 3 to the right, 4 down, and that would be quadrant number 4. Very well. Let's do letter G. Letter G would be 0 for x, because you don't go to the left or right, so you stay there, and then you go 4 up, so it'd be 4 up, and this would be y-axis. Very well. So that concludes practice problem number 1. So now we're going to turn to the next page and proceed with our lesson. Hello, this is page number 2, example number 2 now, for lesson B1. And the question is, determine whether each order pair is a solution on the equation x equals negative 2y equals 6. Basically what this equation is an equation of a line. So there's a line, and the question is this point here on the line? Okay, well, so let's take a look. What can we do to determine if this point is on this line is to substitute. So instead of writing x, I'm going to write 6, because 6 is the x coordinate. So this would be 6 minus 2, and then I'm going to substitute the y, so I'm going to put parentheses and put a 0, and according to the equation this is supposed to equal 6. So let's determine if this side is going to be actually equal 6. So this would be 6, 2 times 0 is 0, equals 6. 6 minus 0 is 6, equals 6. And this is true. So that means the answer is yes. This point, 6, 0, is on the line. Let's continue on and do letter B. We're going to do the same process. We're going to substitute the value of x, which in this case is 1, and minus 2 times the y value, which is 5 over 2. And the question is it equal 6? So let's do this. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Another way to look at it is the 2 cancels with the 2, you're only left with the 5. So there's two ways of looking at this. 2 times 5 is 10, divided by 2 is 5, or you can just say the 2 cancels, you're left with a 5. Alright, very well. So then 1 minus 5 is, signs are different, so you subtract, so it would be 4, and sign of the biggest would be negative, equals 6. Now, is this true? And the answer is no. So therefore, that means that this point right here is not on the line x minus 2y equals 6. Okay? And this point right here, 6, 0, is on the line. Okay? Because 6 equals 6. Alright, very well. Let's move on to the example number 3. Example number 3 is going to be similar to example number 2. It's just worded a different way. Basically saying, determine whether the order pair 4, 7 is a solution to the following equations. In other words, is this point on this line? Okay. If you notice here, this is an absolute value sign. Anything that goes inside the absolute value becomes a positive. Okay. Now, basically, I'm going to substitute the value of y, which in this case is going to be 7. And then I'm going to copy the 3 and absolute value. The absolute value for, I'm going to substitute 4 for x. minus 5. Alright, now this would be 3 times 4. Well, absolute value of 4 is 4, so 3 times 4 is 12. And then do 12 minus 5. And 12 minus 5 is 7. And guess what? This is a true statement, so then yes, the point 47 is on this line. Okay? Alright, let's go on to the next one. The next one says y equals square root of 4x minus 8. So let's go ahead and do that. So this would be substitute the values of y, which is 7, equals the square root of 4 times the value for x is 4 minus 8. Now we're going to have 7 equals, this 4 times 4 is 16, so square root of 16 minus 8. And then what is the square root of 16 is 4. 4 minus 8. And then this would be 7. 4 minus 8 is 4. Now this is not true, so then we say the answer is no. That point is not on the line. Okay? Alright. Let's go ahead and go to the example number 4. Alright, this is example number 4. And it says determine whether each equation is linear or not. Then graph the equation by finding and plotting order pair solutions. Okay, basically, what is a linear equation, or what is a linear graph? Okay, basically, a linear graph falls into this format: y equals mx plus b. So if I have, for example, y equals 4x plus 2, that would be a linear graph or linear equation. Even if I remove the 2, okay, it will still be a linear because it still falls in this format. It's just we don't have that number at the end, but it's because there is a number there, is a positive 0, but we usually don't write the 0. Also, if you see y equals x, would also be linear because there's still a number in front of the x, which is the invisible 1. Okay, and even if you have y equals, let's say, 5, okay, would this be linear? Yes, because this falls into this format. It's just that the number with x, it doesn't show, is because probably is a 0. 0 times x is 0, and then you have the plus 5. Okay, so anything that falls into this format where there's a number in front of the x, a number without x, that would be a linear. Notice that x has an exponent. The exponent is 1. Now if the exponent is other than 1, then like say y equals x squared or y equals x to the third or any other power, it would be something that is not a linear. It would be like something that might have a curvature, so it's not linear. Also, y equals 1 over x would not be linear. It only is linear if it falls into this category. Okay, so with that in mind, when we look at example number A, does it fall into that category? Well, we see these little bars here, that means absolute value. And that's not part of being a linear, so we're going to call it not linear. Okay? And the second part of our problem asks us to plot points to make a line. So we're going to make a table here, and we're going to plot, or we're going to first fill the table, and then we're going to plot the points. So basically, we have the equation, which is y equals 2 absolute value of x minus 3. And then we're going to pick some values for x. I would recommend you pick small numbers such as 0, 1, -1, 2, -2. By picking small numbers, that means it's going to be easier for you to calculate. So we're going to put 0. We're going to substitute 0 for x. So we're going to copy this. So 2 absolute value of 0 minus 3. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 gives you negative 3. Then we're going to do the same thing for x equals 1. And let me make the numbers a little bit bigger here. So here I'm going to have 1, negative 1, 2, and negative 2. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to substitute the x value with number 1. So instead of x, I'm putting in 1. Absolute value of 1 times 2 is 2. 2 minus 3 gives you a negative 1. Let's do the next one, which is y equals 2 times the absolute value of negative 1 minus 3. Absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1 times 2 is positive 2. Positive 2 minus 3 also gives you negative 1. Let's do the next one, which is going to be 2. So absolute value of 2 is 2, positive 2, times 2 is 4. So this here is 4. 4 minus 3 is positive 1. And the last one is going to be y equals 2, the absolute value of negative 2, minus 3. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. Positive 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. So now I have my table. So we're ready to plot the points. So 0, negative 3, it will be 0, negative 3. And then 1, negative 1. Then negative 1, negative 1. Then 2, 1. And then negative 2, 1. So as you can see, you have something that looks like a V-shaped graph. And this is not linear because you don't have one and only one line. You have two lines that are straight. Okay, so we call it not linear. Alright, very well. Now we're ready to go on to problem letter B. Problem letter B, as we can see, does not have an exponent 1, so then we know that it's not going to be linear. And we're going to make the points by creating a table. And let's use the same numbers as before. So 0, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2. Okay, so our equation is y equals x squared. So if we plug it in 0, 0 squared is 0. Alright. If we plug it in 1, 1 squared is 1. Next one would be negative 1. Negative 1 to the second power is the same as negative 1 times negative 1. So a negative times a negative is a positive, so it's positive 1. The next one would be y equals 2 to the second power. So 2 to the second power is 4. And the last one would be y equals negative 2 to the second power. Negative 2 to the second power is negative times a negative is a positive. So it would be positive 4. So now that I have all my points, I'm going to plot the points. So it would be 0, 0. Be my first point. And then my next point would be 1, 1. Then would be negative 1, 1. And then 2, 4. And then negative 2, 4. And as you can see, it makes like a curved line, which you would call it a parabola. So this is not linear, not a straight line. Okay? Alright, let's go to the next problem. So let me move the paper and let's go to letter C. Here into view is letter C, our last problem. And as you can see, it does fall into that format of y equals mx plus b. In other words, a number from the x followed by a number without x. So this indeed will be a linear equation. Alright, very well. Let's go ahead and make a table. Now for this case, because we have a fraction, those numbers that we chose before not might all work for this case, because it might lead you into having a fraction. So we're going to choose a little bit different numbers. We're still going to use 0 because anything multiplied by 0 is 0. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1 is our equation. And if we plug it in, 0 times anything is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. So 0 and 1 is fine. Okay? Alright, now if we were to choose, let's say, number 1, like we did in the previous example, if I put a 1 there, 1 times 2/3 is a fraction, and that means I'm going to be getting fractions, and it's going to be hard to, not impossible, but hard to graph over here. So what I'm going to do is, to make my life a little bit easier here, I'm going to choose multiples of 3 over here. So let's say I choose 3, negative 3, 6, and negative 6. Okay, so if I plug it in 3, this would be negative 2/3 times 3 plus 1. I'm sorry, negative 2/3 y equals negative 2/3 times 3 plus 1. There we go. What happens here is the 3 cancels. So 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 3 one time. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. So negative 2 plus 1 gives you negative 1. Alright, let's go to the next one. So let's say I plug it in negative 3. So this would be negative 2/3 times negative 3 plus 1. The 3 are going to cancel because 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into negative 3, negative 1 time. Negative 2 times negative 1 gives me positive 2. I'm sorry, negative 2 times negative 1 gives you positive 2. Positive 2 plus 1 gives you positive 3. Let's go on to the next one. So I'm going to have y equals negative 2/3 multiplied by 6 now. The 3 cancels with the 6. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 6 two times. So now I'm going to have negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. And the last one is going to be y equals negative 2/3 times negative 6 plus 1. We're going to cancel the 3 with the negative 6. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into negative 6 negative 2 times. And negative 2 times negative 2 gives me positive 4. Positive 4 plus 1 gives me 5. Now I'm going to graph my points. So 0, 1 be right there. Then would be 3, negative 1. So 1, 2, 3, negative 1. And then it would be negative 3, 3. And then it would be 6, negative 3. And the last one would be negative 6, 5. And then I would just connect the points. And there's my graph. Okay, so this concludes lesson B1. And here's your assignment out of the textbook. And I provided in class sets of graphing paper, the little squares that looks like this, where you can paste, cut and paste, and put in your assignment. As you go through this assignment, there will be problems that says please graph the points. Then you'll be cutting and pasting those little graphs that I gave you, and that way your paper is going to be able to have nice graphs. Okay. If for any chance you were not in class, you were not able to get the paper, the graphing paper will be posted on the website right above the video on that web page. So please go ahead and print that and use those graphs as you do your homework. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day.